Welcome back. Well, the school year and the Valley year is approaching very, very quickly. Next week, children are going to be running around, excited to start up the new school year. And we've got some tips to keep all of us safe as we go on this new adventure. Joining us now on our 702 Communications line, 702 Communications, keeping us connected, the one and only Jessica Schindeldecker, the Fargo PD PIO. Jess, happy Friday. Good morning.
Yeah, same to you. Good morning.
Boy, I'm so happy it's Friday. If the kiddos are walking to school, even maybe just to the bus, what kind of conversation should we be having with them?
This is a really great time to remind or to have those conversations with our little ones. And even if we've had them before and they go, "Oh, I know mom, I know dad, or grandma, grandpa, whoever it is, like I already know this," but it's just a good reminder that, we're going back to school and maybe some aren't excited, maybe some are. But we always have to keep in mind about being cognizant of what those risks are on our way to school, whether it's waiting at the bus stop, walking to the bus stop, walking to school. Some kids ride their bikes in the fall and in the spring, ride rollerblades or any type of mode of transportation. Is double checking before we're walking out into traffic. Remind them that sometimes drivers aren't watching for them, and sometimes when they're littler, they don't see them. So we just need to be extra cautious, stopping at the intersections and waiting and making sure that vehicle stops before we actually enter or cross the roadway. And then being safe when you're riding bikes and scooters, wearing that helmet all the time. If they think it's not cool looking, find them one that is cool looking if you can. Let them pick it out so that way they feel comfortable and they like wearing it.
You know, the school zone thing always can become an issue because you're trying to get to work and do things. So remind people of the importance of making sure that we're slowing down during those hours.
Absolutely. So, we're at that time of year again. We're in your morning commute. You're going to start to see those school zones that are going to be flashing. And we have that 20 miles an hour feels like you're crawling. But realistically, those school zones are not very big. And it's only going to slow your commute by, a minute or so. So plan for a minute if you need to. And so that way you're not going to have to rush through those school zones. And the school zones are there for a reason. You need to slow down because there are going to be pedestrians crossing the roadway and going to be in that area. The fines are going to be more expensive in that area. So we just need to make sure that we're slowing down and think about if this, how would I drive if I knew that my child was walking or biking through this area, and treat it as if that's how it would be.
Talk about how to open up the conversation about stranger danger.
Sure. So another thing that's, a lot of times as parents, we get excited for sharing those back to school photos. So keep in mind the photos that you're sharing and those privacy on your social media platforms. Who can see those posts, and do they see that your child goes to Osgood Elementary or whatever elementary school it is? Do they know what your child's name is? Is it on their backpack? Is it on their lunch bag? Is it on their shirts or something? Keep those things kind of private, and then remind your kid that your children to not talk to people who they don't know, and to who are the safe people they can talk to. And if someone have a safety word, that's another common thing that we're seeing nowadays is a family has a safety word. If you know that a certain person is always going to be picking you up, if something were to change and you're not able to notify your child, and let's say an aunt or uncle or somebody else or a friend is going to pick that child up, what's that safe word that your child will know to ask them so they don't get into a vehicle where there could be a danger issue.
Boy, that is so important. Great point about the social media piece. I think a lot of people, you're just so excited to see them going back to school, but you don't think about some of the other drawbacks on that. So you want to share any more on that?
Yeah, just keeping in mind that privacy settings are really important on social media nowadays, and there's really no reason to have your profile open to the public unless you're an influencer, and how many of our parents are in our community are influencers. But if you are, make sure you're keeping those pictures of where your kids are going to school and what they're doing is going to be private, so that we are not opening them up to that vulnerability, and not having household numbers. So if you're taking a picture in front of your house, is it going to be easily identifiable as to where you live? And then also think about if you put that information out there, that there are searches online that will tell people where you live. Sometimes you have to pay for it, sometimes not. So do a quick Google search of your own name and opt out of those services. That's one thing that law enforcement officials have been doing for a long time now, is to make sure they're protected, especially in a volatile atmosphere. So always make sure that you're protecting yourself and your family online and on social media platforms.
Hey Jess, I know you're busy, but would you do us a favor, because I know you're really good with social media? Would you just do like a video or something to sort of explain everything you just talked about, like how to make it private and the search thing? Because I think a lot of people would appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things out there nowadays on social media where we need to really be cognizant, and maybe you don't always know that. So we're always looking to help people out. And just like you mentioned, if there's something that you'd like to see us do and share more information on, please reach out to us because we're here to help you and help those in our community. Oftentimes, if it's a question you're thinking of, there's probably somebody else out there wondering the same thing.
For real, make that video, please, and then send me the link, and I'll put it up on Facebook and get it around for people, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Jess. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Happy Friday. All right, stick around. We got much more coming up right after this.